What's going on, all you creepers? So, as I mentioned last week, I managed to sneak in under the wire and catch a last minute viewing of the limited theatrical release of Screamboat. Now, for those of you who have not yet heard of this movie, guessing you've probably been living under a rock. But Screamboat is based off of Steamboat Willie, which is the initial incarnation of a certain world famous mouse. Not rat. Joe wouldn't like that. So, about a year ago, Steamboat Willie just became public domain. So it was inevitable that there was going to be an almost immediate announcement that there was going to be a slasher version of this character. Now, playing the titular role, of course, we have the lovely and talented David Howard Thornton, which makes a little bit of sense because the people who made this movie were the same people that made The Mean One. And based on his performance in that, of course, he was born to play this one as well. Now, as most of you know out there, we love to spoil the hell out of movies, but as of now, I'm pretty sure I'm the only one who's seen this movie, so I'm going to keep this one spoiler-free, give the rest of the guys a chance to play catch-up, and hopefully we're going to do a full-blown, spoiler-rich episode on this. So I'm just going to give a few pros and cons based on my initial watch, and give you my overall thoughts on it. Starting off with the cons, which, as of now, I only really have two of them. One being not necessarily the full-blown costume design, but I feel like the makeup on this was just a little too close to the Mean One makeup. The face definitely looked very similar, just in grayscale. At least in my opinion, I thought maybe could have kept it looking a little scary, but maybe a little more cartoony than it actually was. But again, it's kind of a nitpick. My other con is I think they went a little too heavy-handed with the jump scares. As we've discussed in our horror trope episode, we feel like that's just overdone in a lot of movies. Too many people bank on that. And not saying that's all that this is, but I just think they went a little heavy on it. Now, if I had to give something neutral about this, mainly because it's solely subjective, is that again, with this being the same people that made The Mean One, I think a lot of your opinion on this is probably going to be comparable to The Mean One. Now, I personally like The Mean One. It was exactly what I thought it was going to be. Definitely being silly, but you got a decent amount of kills and gore in it. With this one, I feel like was a little lighter on the comedy aspect of it and definitely heavier into the kills and the gore. I think the kills in this were definitely way more creative. Yes, I guess we're bleeding into the pros at this point. But the premise of this movie, of course, it's silly. You have a killer mouse walking around the Staten Island ferry. So, of course, it's going to be lighthearted. Of course, it's going to be silly. You're going to get some jokes out of it. But I think they definitely leaned more into the kills than they did in The Mean One. I think they were bloodier. I think they were a little more realistic looking. There were definitely a few notable kills in this, but the two biggest stands out for me. One was definitely very reminiscent of Terrifier, the other one being very reminiscent of Scream. And I mean that in a good way. They were just different enough, they kept it effective, and they were a lot of fun. I think everybody's performances in this were very good. As I said in my little teaser, this is a movie that spends twice as much time on a boat as Jason Takes Manhattan. But this is infinitely more New York than that movie ever will be. Of course, a lot of that coming down to, again, the people behind the scenes and the people in front of the camera are all from that Staten Island area, which is definitely going to make this a far more authentic New York feel than that Canadian classic from back in '89. I definitely enjoyed the cameos from a couple of the usual suspects who, if you know about this team, you're not going to be surprised when you see a few of these faces show up. And another thing I really loved about this, very similar to The Mean One, is the little shots they take at the House of Mouse. Some of them were very obvious, assuming I caught about 5 of them throughout, and I'm assuming I missed a ton more. But it definitely gives you a little chuckle when you see them take, not mean-spirited, but some Easter eggs. So as long as you didn't hate the movie, it's definitely enough to justify a rewatch, which I intend on seeing at least one more time because now I need to catch them all. So let's see, what else is there? Can't really think of anything else without getting into really any spoilers of the whole thing. So, in the spirit of keeping this short but sweet, let's just jump into a rating. Right now, on my first watch, I'm going to give it a 6. I had a fun time with it. Again, nothing Oscar worthy. They not reinventing the wheel there. Obviously, there's been a lot of these family or child properties that have been being turned into slashers, but it's definitely a fun ride. I had a good time with it, and I would definitely recommend anybody to check it out. Yeah, so I'm going to call it quits there. And for anybody still watching at this point, don't forget to like and subscribe our YouTube channel, come to all of our socials, and of course, check out our entire catalog at excellentdayforapodcast.com. Appreciate you watching. Keep it creepy. We'll see you all in the next episode.